Fate Night Horrors. Stories that come for you at the hour you least expect. Gather close. This one's old. Real old. Happened before most of us were born. But some places, they don't forget. Picture a summer night, the smell of pine needles crushed underfoot, smoke curling from the campfire, and the faint sweetness of chocolate and marshmallow melting on sticks. The gentle hum of insects and the soft scrape of canvas tents blowing in the wind. That was Camp Whispering Pines back in 1968. 12 boys, one scoutmaster, Troop 42. It was the last night of their week-long hike. The boys had sung songs by the fire, voices off-key but earnest. They told stories that made each other shiver, daring one another to reach farther into the woods. They made jokes, swore their scout oaths, and somewhere in the trees, one boy thought he heard whispering. He paused, listening, names carried by the wind, laughter, or at least something like it, repeating their words back at them. He turned to the scoutmaster worriedly. "Probably just the wind," the man said, "or some animal." Morning came, the fire smoldered, the tents were empty, packs untouched, not a single footprint leading the way. Search parties combed the woods for weeks. They found nothing. The camp closed that very same year, abandoned and forgotten. Decades later, the camp exists only as rumor and legend. Overgrown trails swallow the old paths. Trees lean into the cabins, branches thick with moss. Windows gape like empty eyes. The sign over the entrance is barely readable. Camp Whispering Pines. A group of teens arrive. 16, 17, some a little older. Boys and girls, backpacks slung low, phones in hand. Music hums faintly from a portable speaker. One pops open a can of soda, another tucks a bag of chips under their arm. Some giggle nervously, some swagger like they own the woods. They're here for fun, for dares, for the thrill of sneaking into a place they've been warned is haunted. A few pass around a cigarette and a bottle of cheap beer, laughter floating between them like smoke. One pulls out a joint. The air smells sweet, sharp, and careless. The first steps into the camp are tentative, uncertain, but loud. Their footsteps crunch over the forest floor, leaves snapping underfoot. The air smells of damp wood and decay, the faint tang of smoke long gone. A flagpole stands rusted and crooked, the paint peeling into the grass. Cabins lean into themselves, the doors hang ajar, floorboards sag, dirt-stained merit badges litter the ground, brittle and cracked, some dated back to 1968. They wander, joking, nudging each other. Some of them joke, "Bet you won't go in there. Last one in the cabin's a chicken." Phones flash in the dark, and the music hums softly. The fire pit is found eventually. Blackened stones encircle, the ashes settled. They start a fire anyway. A pack of marshmallows, chocolate, and graham crackers. Their drinks uncapped and cigarettes lit. A few of them lay back on the grass, leaning against trees and staring up at the night sky. The stars are bright, ordinary, and yet the woods remember. At first it's small, almost nothing. A rustle in the trees just beyond the edge of the firelight. Leaves whisper, but the wind doesn't move. One of the boys frowns. "Who's moving out there?" "Relax," says another. "Probably a raccoon or something." They laugh nervously, and the sound feels thin in the heavy night air. The fire crackles. Smoke spirals upward, twisting unnaturally, and a branch snaps somewhere behind the cabins. Their heads turn, but the shadows are empty. A girl sitting cross-legged in the grass stifles a laugh. "You guys are paranoid," she says while flicking her cigarette into the fire. Sparks flare. The smell of burnt tobacco mixes with pine. Another rustle. Closer. They freeze as the silence stretches. Then a voice, soft, almost a whisper, floats from the darkness. Tom, Sarah, Billy. The teens glance at each other, uneasy, names not shouted, not screaming, just calling. Did someone just say my name? Sarah asks, voice high. She grips her knees. Nope, one of the boys says quickly. Definitely not me, he laughs too loud. The whispers continue, drifting through the trees. Names, snatches of the scout oath, fragments of the old songs. On my honor to do my best. The group shifts closer to the fire. One of them flicks the lighter. The flames flare unnaturally high, then settle again. Shadows stretch long across the ground. A small boy appears at the edge of the firelight, uniformed, pale, too still. He smiles, waves, and in a blink he's gone. The teens whisper nervously, glancing at each other. I swear I saw him, someone mutters. Dude, you're tripping, says another. We're just high, and this place is creepy, that's all. But the air grows colder. The trees seem to lean closer. Footsteps circling the fire, soft, careful, and measured. Not loud enough to crack twigs. Not coming from anywhere visible, just there. Another merit badge appears on the ground. Fresh, the edge is clean. Upon it says tracking. One of the teens picks it up, turning it over in the firelight. No idea how it got there. And then, faint, almost too low to hear, the troop song begins. Off-key, broken, distant. Drifting from the woods, the snatches of melody just enough to catch their ears. On my honor to do my best. The laughter stops. Cigarettes and beers are forgotten. The teens press closer to the fire, and from the shadows the missing boys of Troop 42 appear. Slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, pale faces, tattered uniforms, their eyes hollowed. Their movements are fluid, but unnatural. They circle the campfire, watching, waiting, smiling. They don't step on the grass, don't rustle the leaves, don't touch the fire. Just observing. One extends a hand, a merit badge held like an offering. The fire flickers, the music hums low in the background, as though the night itself remembers. The troop's song grows louder, not in volume exactly, but in clarity. Every misstep, every cracked note from decades ago floats through the trees. The teens exchange uneasy glances. One of them, Billy, swears he hears footsteps behind him, slow and deliberate. But every time he turns, there's nothing, only shadows leaning in the firelight. The air smells faintly of smoke, charred pine, and something sweet, metallic. The teens just wrinkle their nose, unsure of what it is. The boy who first saw the pale scout at the edge of the fire, uniformed and stiff, he points. Over there, I saw him again. The others look, but nothing's there. The hair on their arms rising. The fire pops, sending sparks into the night. One spark hovers in the air, frozen in time, and then it falls straight down. The small merit badge from before now glows faintly under the firelight. Green edges, and the word tracking is impossibly clear. Sarah whispers, I don't like this. She shakes her head, her voice trembles. Another rustle, more footsteps. Circle, circle, not on grass, not on dirt. Somewhere between the trees and the fire, but not real, not tangible. A pale face appears behind the tree line. Scout uniform, the age of 12. Smile too wide, eyes hollow. It waves, and in a blink he's gone. The teens start to feel watched. Every laugh feels brittle. Every whisper of wind carries syllables, letters, half-phrases from the old troop song. Then a screech, high, like a scout whistle blown by someone with no lungs. The fire flares violently. Shadows snap against the cabins, against the walls and trees. One teen drops a can of soda and it rolls, and it stops at the edge of the firelight. A whisper close to the ear. Join us. No one is near. They huddle, phones out, flashlights trembling. Batteries dim, the screens flicker green, and light bends unnaturally around the fire. Another merit badge appears, and it says camping. The edge is clean, not weathered, placed near the fire pit. One of the teens picks it up as they tremble. And then footsteps again, small, barefoot, light, sprinting across the grass. Then a single high-pitched screech, perhaps from an owl. A shadow moves inside the dark cabin across the clearing. No door opens, no windows break. The shape tilts, looking towards the group. Stillness, waiting, watching. The troop is here, all of them, slowly, deliberately, stepping just outside reality, not attacking, not speaking, just circling the fire, offering patches and beckoning. One scout stops at the edge of the firelight, kneels and places a badge down, looks up, smiles, the eyes hollow. They don't leave, they don't speak, they don't make a sound beyond the song. The teens clutch each other, fear settles in deep. They feel the camp breathing, watching, hungry in some way beyond flesh. The first of them whispers, "We shouldn't be here." But the troop song rises again, closer, surrounding, almost in their heads. The fire crackles, and the troop song floats in the trees. A shape emerges from the underbrush, tall, broad, uniform shredded, hanging in tatters, one boot missing, the skin stretched in impossible angles. The troop master, his face mangled, unrecognizable, tilted toward the teens. He lifts a hand, trembling, pointing at them. Then another gesture toward the thick, dark woods beyond the campfire, a sweep of his arm, a warning. No words, only raw urgency. The teens glance at one another, unsettled. From the shadows, a boy in a tattered scout uniform tilts his head, watching. The troop master recoils slightly, as if he knows something they do not. The ground under the firelight is uneven, the roots twisted unnaturally, the trees lean, branches scraping the night air, the forest exhales. One teen trips on something, a small stone half buried in moss and dirt. Weathered, leaning awkwardly at an angle, letters carved long ago are faint, almost unreadable. Not a memorial to the troop, just a grave. The troop master shifts forward, his hands clawing at the earth, reaching for the teens. He jerks backwards suddenly, as if pulled by invisible strings, his body bent at odd angles. Screams twist in his throat, not a coherent sound, just raw, desperate noise. The scouts encircling the fire pause, and the song stutters. Small laughter drifts from the darkness, dissonant, playful, menacing. They tilt their heads in unison toward the troop master, and somewhere a branch snaps. The troop master is yanked backwards, twisting into the blackness between the trees, his hands flailing once, pointing first at the teens, then at the forest itself. The fire dims and silence falls. The forest exhales around them. Footsteps, small, scattered, echo on leaves and roots. The song resumes faintly, the hum of life, and the trees silencing. The teens stare at the grave marker, moss-covered, faded letters. The forest around it seems older here, heavier, and something unnatural lingers. No one speaks, no one moves. The fire dims, the troop master is gone, only the forest remains, breathing around them. The pale scouts drift back into the shadows, circling the teens like currents in a river. The song hums faintly now, just beneath hearing, almost inside their heads. One of them realizes they're humming along, and they stop, but the melody continues from their own throat without permission. The teens exchange glances. Something has shifted. The air feels thicker, the trees closer, the shadows between them darker than they should be given, the fire still burning between them. Someone whispers, "We need to go, now." They gather their things, backpacks and phones, the speaker now humming the troop song. They move toward the entrance, the overgrown path they came in on. They don't run, but they should run. But something about the song makes running feel unnecessary, makes leaving feel like something that can wait. Just another minute, just until the song finishes. They count themselves without thinking about it. The numbers feel right. They seemed right. But somewhere between the fire pit and the tree line, Sarah had stopped walking. Nobody sees exactly when. Nobody sees exactly why. She's just standing at the edge of the firelight, looking toward the trees. Her head tilts, the same unnatural angle as the scouts. When they finally notice her standing there, she smiles and she waves. The uniform is wrong. She wasn't wearing it before. The remaining teens run. Branches whip at their faces. Roots catch at their feet. The fire dies behind them. The path feels longer than it was coming in. The trees press close. The song follows. They don't look back. When they reach the cars, they count again. The numbers are wrong. They are always going to be wrong now. Behind them in the dark, faint but certain, the troop's song rises once again. One voice added to the chorus, off-key, earnest. And somewhere at the edge of Camp Whispering Pines, a new merit badge lies in the dirt. Still clean, still fresh, edges sharp. The word on it, belonging. I went there last summer, the Whispering Pines, just to see, and I still hear them sometimes when the wind's right, when the fire's low. Troop 42 never came home, but they're still looking for the rest of the troop.